Right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our latest webinar, Managing Retail Through a Pandemic. And as you know, we are all struggling during this time to figure out how we can make sure that we are able to continue business and to continue operating. And I think that retailers have it especially difficult, taking into consideration that at some point they weren't even allowed to open their doors. So we did think it fitting to be able to get retailers that we know that are still open, share with them some of the challenges that they've had, some of the tips that they have actually had to implement in order to be able to continue operating their businesses. So I'd like to introduce you to our panel. With me are Alexandra Mosher and Darren Maskowitz. Forgive me, Darren, if I always do it. But they are the owners of Alexandra Mosher Studio Jewelry. She makes that beautiful pink jewelry that we all want. Also, I have Ozzie Hines, who is the owner of the Salon Store, as well as Janazi. So those of you who do hair like I do should be very familiar with him. And then we also have Ian Cameron on the phone with us, who is the owner of a new bookstore called The Griot, which if you haven't been to, I definitely encourage you to visit. It's called, it's on Parliament Street. I got that right, Ian?
Yes.
Okay, great. And so we really are excited to have this conversation with them today, because I think it is important, because we know that retailers are among the lifeblood of this economy. So let's just get right into it. When we talk about challenges, right? So we all know what the COVID challenge, but what specifically have you guys experienced during this time? And I'll start with my left. So I see Alexandra and Darren. So I'll give you guys a chance to answer that question, and then we'll give everyone a chance to answer.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having us. Yeah, it has been a very challenging time. And I remember the feeling of kind of leading up into when we were about to go into the time when we locked our doors, and feeling very emotional and really heavy. And the day that we actually got the order to lock our doors, I think I sort of slumped onto the floor of our front step and just had a moment. So, and there have been little chapters throughout the last 6 months or so where we've had different challenges. But for us, I believe, and I'll let Darren speak to this more, but the hardest thing has been that we built a team of 15 people basically, and we realized, well, Darren did the math, he's our CFO and everything else, but we did the math, and it was, Darren's projections were really scary, and we realized that we had to take action quickly, and we had to lay our entire team off, which was gutting, like heartbreaking. And I'll let you speak more to that, but that's.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, we spent years building our dream team, and then we had to let them all go in one day with no idea of whether we'd be able to bring them back or not. Not only were they our dream team, but we take very seriously that we are also the providers of their livelihood, to help them earn a living, to help them save money, help them go on vacations for their financial freedom. And that was heartbreaking. It still keeps me up at night knowing that it's not sure how many or when we'll be able to bring them back. That was easily the biggest challenge.
I can definitely understand that. Did you have similar kind of challenges, Ozzie?
Most certainly the adjustment and the sudden overnight change in circumstances that we all found ourselves in would have been a shock to anyone. I don't think there's anyone out there who would disagree that this entire affair, if you may, came unexpected. But I want to share something that might have helped us emotionally as a business. And when I said a business, I have to speak to the segment of my business that are majority service, and then of course I have a retail / wholesale business, which is slightly different in terms of a product. But sometime last year, I was having our staff meetings. I have been having our staff meetings, and I was telling my staff to prepare. And the only reason I happen to be privy to this information is because of my religious practice. We expected, and I want my audience to hear me carefully, we
Okay.
expected to have some sort of transformation in the world. And
Okay.
we didn't know what it was going to be, when it was going to be, or how impactful. But believe it or not, the period leading up to 2021 is expected to be a transformational period in the entire world. So not just COVID, as you all aware now, but what's going on with Black Lives Matter. I can expand a little bit more on this a little later on. I don't want to try to stretch it out, but basically my staff, I don't know how they defend themselves, how they felt, but I know they knew, and they kept hearing me saying, prepared. We're going to go through something quite unusual. The impact on it certainly has been no less effective in as much as we expected it, but quite frankly, it has not turned out as bad as I expected. And I think that had to do with the fact that we are preparing ourselves, at least myself and my wife, who are the owners, we're preparing ourselves for change. She said to me, you know what, you said, Ozzy, you're so true. I had a couple of business people came and say, you said it. You said we're going to go through something. So I would say, in as much, yes, it's been difficult, but it was expected. And I would like to share a little bit more about going forward a little later on. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I mean, you are one of of the lucky ones, I guess, if you had an opportunity to prepare in advance for that, and at least give your staff an opportunity. So it's interesting to hear you say that. Ian, you're in a situation where you kind of, it feels like you just started right before this thing hit. So
Yeah.
how has it impacted you, and what kind of challenges did you experience?
Our situation is a bit different as far as the types of challenges that we witness. Some, of course, would be common amongst all of us. But for us, we opened back in mid-February, and we're a very small business. And so at the time, we were fortunate in that we didn't have any full-time staff. So we didn't have to lay anybody off or anything like that. Our main challenge at the time, when COVID first kind of hit, was the fact that we are a brick and mortar store. And of course, we had to shut down. Luckily for us, we had already started to migrate our business online. So I had already started the process of building our website and so forth, and kind of setting up the infrastructure to accommodate online ordering. So that actually happened pretty quickly. I mean, it was a good bit of work involved, but we're fortunate that it happened pretty fast. And then our major challenge before the shelter in place was actually getting permission from the government to be able to do deliveries.
Right.
So we posed the argument that we have educational material and the likes for children and adults, but we are unable to get these products to the customers. But the customers were actually able to go online. You can go on Amazon and order the books that you want, and then have to go to the courier to pick it up. So eventually we were given permission, and it was a good thing for a while. And then of course we were doing deliveries and so forth. And then when shelter in place really kicked in, everything just shut down. But in a way, currently it's been a blessing in disguise. So because we had to diversify and really adjust our business model due to the circumstances, we're in a really good position now to be able to accommodate in-store purchases as well as online orders. So it actually worked to our benefit hugely. And there's some other challenges as well, but I'll get into those a bit later.
We can spend this whole kind of conversation talking about challenges, really.
Oh yeah, we could.
But you brought up a good point, which is the online segment. Now, Alexandra, I know that you started initially online, right? And you graduated into this brick and mortar entity, but you want to talk a little bit about how maybe you were able to leverage your online presence during that shutdown time. And I know personally that you shared a similar experience with Ian with regard to being able to get your product out of your store online and into the hands of your customers. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, we certainly figured it out as we went. But I've had an online store for over 10 years now. I think it's probably one of the first e-commerce Shopify websites back in 2009, I think, when it was brand new, and or at least new to me. And the thousands of hours that we put into the website over the last decade, and I say we because I started it, and Darren's taken it to the next level with like accurate inventory, and but each because we hand make it, we have to do the photography for it, we need to do the product description, the pricing, all of that needs to match what we have in the store live. And you know, I wish we could, well, I don't wish because I wouldn't want that business model for us, but perhaps other web stores can use prefab product photography, but we've got to shoot everything ourselves. So all of those hours in setup really helped us during lockdown, basically, lockdown and since. In fact, our business model used to be about 7 or 8% online sales, and it's now 60% online sales.
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that it will make sense, right? Everything's shut down. So how else are you able to kind of deliver on that product? Now, a lot of businesses who didn't have an online presence scrambled, like you said, to get their businesses online so they can still do business. Just going back to what you were saying with regard to the shift, how did you manage that shift? Was it just, it happened because there was no other way for people to get their stuff, or were you actively kind of forcing people to now shop online or pay more attention to that, if you would?
Absolutely, yeah. We've been online, but locals didn't understand that we were online. A lot of our visitors who would come into the store and then go back to wherever they live would then order something for Christmas later on, and we would be able to service them in that way. But very few people knew that they could shop online and click and collect or have free local delivery. So we repositioned everything on our homepage and really taught them to break it down step by step, how to order online, how easy it is, simple as 1, 2, 3, check out like this. And for us, the biggest challenge was trying to get back into the store to be able to get, again, Amazon. People could sit at home on their couch and order all the things, and that doesn't really help for that whole Choose Bermuda movement and keeping the dollars in our economy. And we were lobbying with the chamber and government, and I think we were calling you guys at the BEDC to like say, how can we get our stuff to both locals and to export? So we had tons, but we had a healthy amount of orders. In April, people were really kind, and I'd written a letter to our email list, and there were people who were coming out of the woodwork to support us, and I'm super grateful for that. But then our hands were tied because we couldn't actually send the product, and
Right.
It was we eventually were given permission to have DHL come and pick up from us, and we figured out the whole contactless. It's like, if DHL can drop off something to our house,
Why can't they bring it up?
then why can't they pick it up and take it?
It makes sense. It makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We set up the entire shipping department in our living room, and the couches were covered in DHL packages, and we put the Harbor Nights pop-up tables up, and we were doing packing and wrapping, and it was a really kind of special time in a way. It was a make it work moment, that's for sure.
For sure. Ozzy, let me ask you. So we're talking about online. Is the salon store online? Can people order online?
No, not as yet. And interestingly enough, that was one of the projects that started before COVID. It has not yet been completed because, as I was listening to Alexandra, she said thousands of hours. And as you can imagine, the onset of COVID and so many other things to do, dealing with staff, dealing with government, daily communications, dealing as the owner. There was no hundreds, even scores of hours to spend to pursue that project, but it is ongoing. And what was fortunate for us is that because we are in the personal care business, and a lot of important items that people were missing prior to the shutdown, we were fortunate in that phase 1 we were able to open at the salon store. So we got an influx, a rush of people. So that kind of helped to redress some of the lost revenue. But with regards to online, it's a no-brainer. It certainly has given me pause to make sure we get online as fast as possible. So Yes, it's actually a work in progress, and it's still no. Mind you, though, we're on social media in a big way.
Right.
So as much as we didn't have the online segment yet in place, certainly social media played a very big role in getting some very important items on social media, and we saw the results of it right away.
Well, that's what I was going to speak to next, is the whole idea or the whole process of like now marketing your products differently and how it had to change. So if the focus was online for you, Alexandra, and for you, Ian, what did you do differently to drive people that way? Because you mentioned it, Alexandra, that local, we know we buy everything online, right? Amazon gets money, from everyone. But for whatever reason, and you know this, the struggle we have with eMonday and Inspire eBusiness, just to convince people locally to shop online, for whatever reason, they're like, well, I could just go into the store and pick it up. I'll look at it online, but I'm going to complete that purchase in person. And so do you think that you needed to do a lot more marketing? I heard you say how you listed the detailed steps on your website to get people to feel confident in purchasing online. And I'll start with you, Alexandra, and then I'd like you to answer that too, Ian.
Yeah. Well, for marketing, actually, I was in a very much watch and see mode. As an artist, I'm a very sensitive and an emotional person, or just as who I am. And I was really not in a place where I felt like now's the time, go, 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 market, market, market. So I was I was only kind of posting once a week and very heartfelt, messages of hope. And so when it came to telling that story online, I did put it up on our homepage once we were kind of at the point where we were able to do click and collect, or even just the week before that. I think it was the end of March, end of April, sorry, that we gotten the permission to be able to deliver locally and ship. And so we put it in, I believe we put it in an email, and then we put it in the caption of a couple social media posts, but it was very much we were actually fielding a ton of phone calls. Darren forwarded the studio phone to his cell phone and was actually walking people through how to do it. And it's just like when you do it in the States, and check out and everything, and we'll get it to you tomorrow, sort of thing. So we didn't do a ton of extra marketing, but we were pretty clear in the steps, and then making it on the homepage and doing that banner at the top of the website that was like, look out for, we can do next day free delivery locally. That was our messaging, basically.
Okay. Ian, what about you?
So for us, it was very similar. So on our website, we obviously posted that, we are doing online orders. It kind of gave instructions for people of how to do complete the orders. But prior to that, we went through a long process of ensuring that our payment mechanism and everything was working properly and all the rest of it, which took a good bit of time. And same thing with getting our products, pictures of our products, descriptions, pricing, and everything on the website. So it was definitely a long process. And then also just posting on social media, just explaining that we are processing online orders. You can expect your order same-day delivery, and just really reinforcing that message. And eventually, actually, I wouldn't say eventually, it can happen pretty quickly. Once people knew we were online, they go order, and once one person received the order, they told other people, and it just became a thing. So, for us, it was all day, just, doing deliveries. So it actually worked out pretty good.
So do you think now, as a result of COVID, we have locally, kind of gotten used to the fact of we can order things online and get them to us? Do you think that this is paving a way for how we purchase goods locally on the island, or do you think we'll backpedal to how it used to be once we get the clear that we can go back to normal? And
I think it's almost like a hybrid. So because of the shelter in place, people were very hungry to get out and actually be around and be able to shop again, like actually get out of the houses, right? So I found that initially that after the shelter in place, a lot of people came into the space, especially those people that had placed orders online that had never been here. They wanted to actually come in and pick up the order as opposed to it being delivered. Whereas other persons, I have noticed that they certain customers consistently order online for delivery. And I think it's just because they're used to it. But the benefit of having the online store locally is that, for us, it was same day delivery. So when they ordered something, literally they would get it the same day. So, even if they order stuff via Amazon, it's still going to take days for them to
Yeah.
get it. And especially with the shipping companies now being so backed up, on the levels that they are, people are more inclined to order, in my opinion, online, locally.
So that brings me to a fulfillment question that I have for you guys. So, Alexandra, you mentioned that you were using DHL to fulfill locally. Is that continuing, first of all?
Yeah, we're still doing that. Yeah, they've been great. We implemented also a basically 20-minute click and collect. So if you ordered online, Darren set up some sort of algorithm that the printer goes off, and so like you're in a chef's kitchen and the check comes out and it's like, all right, what are we doing? And so we put it together in the pretty pink bag and have it ready for. And at that in the beginning, we actually put a jewelry bar right at the front door because we weren't having people in at first. It was just curbside, and then there were the days of the week thing, and we have so comparatively to grocery stores, so few people who were coming through. We were like, all right, let's keep the jewelry bar up here and let anyone come to the front door and shop from the front door. And we were like displaying the things and bringing the pieces over to them. But with the click and collect, yeah, 20 minutes, and it was ready if they came into town. And we also let them stay in their cars and kind of took it out to them on the sidewalk. And then DHL has been phenomenal in servicing us with local delivery. We said next day delivery. We also were doing same day delivery if it was a birthday rush or something. If you order by noon. So, and
I mean, that's a good point though for DHL, because I don't know how many retailers. I don't know, Ozzy, did you know that DHL does local deliveries?
Not at all. It's actually news to me. It's quite interesting. I never knew they do local deliveries. So
right, I think there's a lot of retailers that don't know that. I know that it makes sense now. Before, like I said, I think we were conditioned to go into the store and buying it. So why would I need it to be delivered? So out of necessity, I think they had to accommodate you, right? Because before it was like we will ship your stuff overseas, or we'll deliver an overseas product to you. But now that they are doing that, I'm saying for all of those who are listening, and you have a retail establishment, that is definitely something that I think can be an asset going forward, right? Is because we want people to continue to be able to click and buy. Even you, Ian, I don't know how you were delivering your goods. Were you utilizing DHL, or you guys were kind of doing the self-delivery?
No, we were actually doing the self-delivery.
Right.
We had explored various options, but the challenge was that so the average person will buy like a few books, and the cost of the books didn't warrant the delivery fee. So for us, we were just out there on our own, just fulfilling the deliveries.
Right. Which is possible. I mean, Bermuda is small enough to do it, but when I think once you get to a certain amount, and yours are luxury goods, Alexandra, so for you, you can kind of factor that in, but just knowing that it's an option, I think is a big deal, right, Ozzy? Because how are you getting your products? Did you do a similar sort of curbside, we pack and you pick kind of scenario?
yeah, certainly curbside, and for those businesses that opened, we actually have been doing deliveries for years. So doing deliveries, wasn't anything new to us. Certainly not so much to residences. We did a few of those, but we cater to a large percentage of the beauty industry. So once they opened, we were more than pleased. Curbside was our main avenue for delivery. People actually ordered and collected on curbside for, I think, the first 2 or 3 weeks till the third phase, when more people were allowed to, more businesses were allowed to open. But yes, a little bit of home deliveries, but mostly curbside once we were allowed to open.
So let me ask you guys this. So what is it that you wish you had during this time, or what type of support from whether it be government or another entity that you wish you had during this time and even going forward into the future? Like, what was missing to help you to kind of get over whatever the hump was?
Yeah, who'd you like to go first?
Oh, I was looking at you guys. I don't know if you could tell,
Oh,
right?
I'll go first.
My
I'll go
webcam
first.
is at the top, and I'm like, I know they can't tell who I'm looking at.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
go ahead.
Through, I
I'll,
mean, it was all just figure it out as we go. And in hindsight, unless I missed something, I mean, we had a lot of support and there were a lot of options available. And so I can't look back and say that any major piece was missing. I think all of the things we needed were available. Took some time to get them, took some time to find them, but I think that Bermuda was well set up for the services that it provides.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. Okay. What about you, Ozzy?
You know, the COVID pandemic, it gave us an opportunity as business owners. Certainly, has given everybody an opportunity to sit back a bit and to look at their business, look at their lives, and of course to get some good rest. It was certainly a good period to take. It's the longest break I've had in many years. But with regards to what I could have used during the pandemic, I can't think of anything off the top of my head that I could have used. I mean, apart from the fact that I wasn't online as a business in terms of shopping online, I don't think there's anything else that I could have used during that period. I took the period for what it represented. It was a period for humanity to slow down a bit. Yes, it's a loss of revenue, certainly, and at times it was worrisome about when are we going to reopen and how long was this going to last. That to me was the biggest challenge, not so much what we didn't have, but how long it was going to last. And that was to me my biggest fear, the uncertainty, because it was not just me. Of course, I have staff, and I have to give credit to the government for stepping in and allowing for salaries to be paid, however minimal they were. But I think it gave us a pause to look at our product, look at ourselves individually, which I think is important. And like the gentleman said, Ian, I think Bermuda was well, let's say, positioned to deal with it in a very effective way. I have to say, in retrospect, I think we kind of transitioned quite well. Looking at the numbers on the island now of COVID infections, I think we're very fortunate in that we manage it very well on this island, except for the fact that certainly we lost some people. A client of mine passed away, and that was a bit tough, to hear. But I think we came out of it reasonably well. Other than the fact that we are all in a little bit of debt right now.
Right, that's right. So if there's any service providers or financiers on the islands, like, let's consider debt forgiveness, right? That would be ideal. I don't know. Ian, did you have anything to add to that? Ian? I don't know.
sorry about that. Here I am.
Did you have anything that you wanted to add to that? Like, what did you wish you had during that time to help get you over this kind of period? Like, either whether it be from government, from another entity or support service.
Looking at that period when COVID was kind of at its peak, with the lockdown and so forth, I can't say that I was without anything. When it came to setting up the website, of course, we had to utilize alternative kind of payment mechanisms because we didn't have access to, the entities that would have set up the merchant payment portal. But other than that, I mean, the permissions that we got from the government were eventually gotten. So, we were able to operate. It could have been a little bit sooner, in my opinion, but it is what it is. But I think it was generally
for the next
handled.
pandemic, we know what to do.
Oh yeah, we're well prepared now.
No, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I can't say there's anything that I was without that would have made it easier. I think it was handled generally pretty well from a social and economic level.
All right, I see a question here from Laura that says, how does the fee structure for DHL work on local deliveries?
It's about $20 for local delivery.
That's not bad. Is it?
Yeah,
We use 5-star delivery for many years. 5 stars is $15. And with lockdown, we switched to DHL because they were the ones that were moving about the country, and
Right.
their infrastructure also tied direct. So the infrastructure came to a point where whether we're shipping locally or internationally, it requires nothing different for us internally from our operation standpoint.
Okay.
And that's worth the $5 extra per delivery.
yeah, it hooked in with the back end of Shopify, so it was really easy for us to not have to do manual call-ins or labels or addresses. It was all connected. And that's something which I wanted to say on the first go around. We were talking about DHL. I don't believe that they had that service before lockdown. This is something that I know Darren was working really closely with Bryson, who is, I think, the new manager there, and he's a make it work kind of guy. And I think they started this because there was demand for it. And so we looked at the cost of that versus, first we weren't able to personally go out and deliver. And then when we were able to, Darren did a little bit of it, but it was just the two of us here in the store, so we had to keep the doors open. So we needed retail, and we decided to eat that cost because to us that was around about what perhaps if we were wholesaling to a different company or a different local retailer, the percentage difference for the retail price versus our wholesale price. The margin covered that $20 basically. So we just ate that cost and still gave free local delivery to all of our clients here.
Okay. And that was per item or per delivery?
Per delivery.
Per delivery. Okay. And you guys mentioned 5-star delivery. So that's also another option for those of you who are looking for local delivery. And I've always said that part of the reason why we don't shop locally online is the missing fulfillment piece. What do you guys think about that? Like, with Amazon, somebody's gonna deliver it to your door, you open the door, you pick up your package. And locally, that wasn't always the case. Do you think that's part of the hesitancy that you've seen from locals shopping online? What do you think? I'll start with you, Ian.
Yeah, I think probably historically that was one of the deterrents when it came to people ordering online.
Mhm.
Just in general, I mean, you just never knew when you're going to get it. But now, so we use Shopify as well. And the good thing is that, the customer gets notifications of when their order is fulfilled and when it's going to be delivered and all the rest of it. So they have more information now, and they're able to kind of gauge, and they're able to kind of set their expectations. And I think that the more that deliveries are conducted and made, and people tend to rely on it more, that they just become more comfortable with it. So I think now, because of the shift, people are more comfortable and with ordering online.
Hi, Kitty. What would you guys say, Alexandra?
As a consumer, or at least when we had a little money, was a consumer. I find it's hard to find the actual product. Like I wanted to get some garden stuff the other day, and I really wanted to do it from my living room in the air conditioning and not go to Masters and Gorham's and Abercrombie and Brighton and just see if they had this fertilizer basically. And I just was like, I don't know. And I didn't go and look at each website, but I kind of assumed that they probably wouldn't have the e-commerce thing set up. And so is that wrong on my part? Probably. And I think Danielle from the NAB app is my hero, because she's really challenging locals to think about making the effort to shop online. And I believe that there are those who are stepping up, but I think that it is a ton of work to get your entire inventory up and online and accurate pricing and accurate amount quantities. If you sell out, you're in trouble. So that was something that, from a consumer point of view, there are those kind of companies that I know it's easy to shop online, and they're actually kind of digitally based. You've got Salt and Cedar, and now they have a brick and mortar, and Cassine is only online, and they do deliveries and a great job of social media and getting the word out that way. You've got retailers like clothing retailers like Mod Blue, who have practically everything on their website. So yes, there are those that you kind of know are ready to go if you need something, you know, but it unfortunately it's just so easy to go on Amazon if you need, I don't know, whatever, and quickly get it. But what I do love is the way that the grocery stores stepped up, and that all, I mean, that's a basic necessity, and it was a huge challenge when the queues were like out the door around the corner and up the street. So that's huge, and I haven't used that yet, but I love the idea of it. And basically, we're not shopping much right now because we're kind of broke. So
you and everybody else. Ozzy, so what I would say is that I think we're right now for you to get online. So as you said, it was part of your plan before, but I definitely think what I'm hearing anyway is that we are ready, right? And so whereas your products are available in store and you do the deliveries wholesale to all of the other salons, that there's huge opportunity there. At least that's what it seems to me, for you to even increase that revenue stream by going ahead and finalizing your website and online.
No doubt at all. It has challenged us, certainly, our business to capitalize on that additional stream of revenue, and also to adjust to what I see is part of the new dynamic of life. I would never like to see people not leaving their homes with their partners and going down Front Street on a Saturday afternoon and, you know, and choosing a nice outfit from one of the stores, or coming down to the salon store and see what new and beauty there is. We certainly would like to see that aspect of human interaction and having time out. But without doubt, because of the pace of life, it is obvious that people are going to find very little time sometimes to get down to the brick and mortar store. So it's not a question of if, it's a question of how soon we can get. For me, I mean, we're online as far as our services in the salon is concerned. Yes, we're definitely online there. But with regards to the beauty supply, wholesale and retail, it's quite a large inventory, and someone did mention about getting pictures and you know, I want to do it right, because I've been on some sites and navigating wasn't that easy. It's a bit slow, and I just don't want to jump online because someone is offering. I want to make sure you go online, we have the right speed. You can see the pictures, you can look at options. So it's a pretty large project, a lot larger than some people realize. To have a good complete operation, and it can be quite costly. So, but you know, fortunately for our business, we are a unique business on the island. So until we get online, we've been working assiduously. Believe it or not, we've been on all the social media as well. Word of mouth still helps.
Yeah.
I would just say to business people, don't forget that because everything's online, don't forget the good customer service.
Yeah.
Don't forget the word of mouth. You can still utilize your Instagram, you can still utilize your Facebook, and certainly you still want to get the right product so that, you know, people will return.
I think that's a good point. You bring up a good point, because oftentimes, even when we're talking about businesses that are online, we think, okay, if I build it, they will come. But it's a little bit more than that, right? Especially in retail, when you do have choice, a bit of choice, I think, in Bermuda. So what is it, or how do you guys manage your customers and the connection with your potential customers? What are some of the tools that you use to maintain that connection with them, so that when they're thinking of something they need, they know who to contact? And I'll start with you, Ozzy.
Well, we try to keep a very large database of our guests and our customers. I like to differentiate services as guests, and for retail, I like to call them customers.
Okay.
But we certainly keep them up to scratch with new products, with innovations. Definitely.
And is it an email database, like an email database?
Yes,
okay.
Yes, definitely. You know, email database. Instagram is quite popular with a certain demographic.
Mhm.
a large demographic. That demographic is expanding more and more. And certainly we have a referral program. So yeah, the social media is available. We utilize it, and that has actually been quite good in trying to get more people into the stores.
Okay. Ian, what's your feeling on that? You're still relatively new. You're a newbie on the scene. So how are you maintaining the contact with your customers and clients?
Yeah, mostly through social media. So Instagram, Facebook, and the like. We put out several posts a day. And we also try to be relevant to what's going on socially as well.
Okay.
So because of the nature of our business, being a bookstore, well, primarily a bookstore, so we are constantly putting things out that would resonate with our customers and so forth. We also have send out messages to our mailing list as well, just to let people know what's coming up, what different new items that we have in and the like. So yeah, mostly just social media and mailing lists and so forth.
Okay. What about you guys, Darren and Alexandra?
Yeah, we built a list over the last 15 years, and I think we have like 15,000 people on it, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But we get, I don't know, 10% opening those emails, right? Because they're going to spam folders and everything. But basically there's
32%.
32%.
There you go. That's
Sorry. Oops, I didn't know that. But it's what's fantastic about that is that we can literally see the bump in sales when we send an email out. We don't want to be too like in your face, and I have the same tack with social media. I want to have something to say because we have such loyal followers. I don't want to just kind of have airy fairy posts that don't mean or say anything. So I like to have some substance behind it. So what we're really working on is basically making new pieces or hearing what people are looking for and then creating those products. And rather than making a lot of noise. And I feel like having one-on-one conversations in the comments has been really helpful. And I feel like we installed a chat function on the homepage of our website. So people who are like kind of close to checking out and they just had a couple questions, we jump right on that. And day or night, when they're comfortable, we're ready for them. So we kind of gone from a 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and then we're kind of closed, and we'll get back to maybe if I happen to be on my Instagram, to like we're available all the time through kind of more channels than we used to, through the chat function and through DMs and that sort of thing. So really helping people cross the finish line to that sale. So we've been doing everything that we used to do, and in addition to that, we've added some functionality to our digital world.
I mean, that makes sense, right? Because all sales are precious, especially now. I'm getting a question here from Laura. She says, with the downturn of in-store purchases, how are you handling reduced hours for staff and keeping staff motivated? And you guys can start.
I'll let Darren speak to that.
Yeah, great question, Laura. At the start of this webinar, we had mentioned that one of our biggest, or my biggest challenge was having to lay everybody off. As Ozzy mentioned, the unemployment benefit helped from the government, and to be honest, with sales down, we're at 30% of what we should be regular this time of year. We're not able to bring back a lot of our staff, and through the lockdown, some of our staff that weren't eligible for the unemployment benefit, we actually paid them out of our own pocket, or we used our own savings to pay them. And so in terms of bringing people back, we have a skeleton staff now, and the biggest challenge now is
we have reduced staff. Right.
Sorry. Our biggest challenge now is revenue uncertainty. For a business that's 10 years old, we could relatively predict what our revenues were month to month within 10%, and over the year within 10%. So we were able to hire people and give them long-term contracts over the year. Sorry, I was getting bitten by the cat. And so now with revenue uncertainty, it's really hard to offer employment contracts. And so we have a skeleton staff back full time, and we've brought a lot of our team members back on a part-time basis. And it really helps me, it really helps us. And in terms of motivation, I mean, to be honest, even for us as business owners, every sale that comes in, we're very happy about, like, oh my God, this is the best customer ever. And so our employees are like, oh my God, it's so great to be able to earn an income. It might not be as much as it was before, but the motivating them, we're a smaller team. As Ozzy said, we've taken the time, we've stepped back, we're more sort of connected or aligned with our customers and our employees, and that in itself creates an internal motivation.
Okay, Ozzy,
Mhm.
you have you have
So-
the service and then you have the retail as well.
Yes, as you and everyone may be aware, prior to COVID, the economy was not the best we've seen in Bermuda over the years. So staff in both the salons, and we've kept the store, which is a newer business, 10 years. It's not that new, but we are less people than with less people than we would like to. And when we say staff, it's not necessarily full time. You also have to have support staff like accountants and personal services and things of that nature. So because we were already on reduced staff, it meant that we had to. This woman are getting a signal here. Turn off webcams. Ignore. No worries.
Okay.
We were fortunate in that we managed to with less. Is one of those situations where you just spend less. So there are a lot of things that we had to put aside, and and some of them major, some of them not so major. But I think my staff, in all credit to them, adjusted quite well. They realized that we are not making as much money, so instead of cleaning the facilities 5 out of 7 days, no, we can only do it 2 or 3 days, and everybody chip in a bit and do it here, and things like that. So because of that, we were able to keep everybody on board. Certainly, like I said earlier, when they couldn't come back to work, the offerings from government was very, very good. So that helped ease the pain somewhat. But we were one of those quite fortunate ones that were able to hold the staff, even though we were operating with a lot less.
Right. So I mean, it sounds like it has a lot to do with your team too, right? In that they get it. So going back to what Laura asked in terms of motivating them, if you from the outset pick the right people to join the team, it seems like it's more of a, like you said, Ozzy, they understood. It's like, well, I can't, make magic and make money fall from trees. So we're all in this together. So do you think that had anything to do with it, your selection of who you're actually bringing on to join you? Does it make a difference in terms of challenge and during this pandemic? And I'll start with you, Alexandra.
100%. Yeah. This whole time has really had us rethink everything, and in a hard way, but in a wonderful way. And we worked really, really hard on our team and the structure and the departments, because not only do we have a retail store, we have a full studio where we make everything. So the inner workings of that and accommodating customers for requests and all that sort of thing really had us spinning around like we were chickens with their heads cut off for sometimes, especially in the middle of the summer. And I feel now with the few that we have back, as much as I wish we had everybody back, because I really miss everyone. And I just loved the way our team worked. We're doing more hybrid positions, and so we've called back the people who have the skills to not only be on the retail floor, but they can handle customer service emails and really, there's like many levels of what they can do. So it's never idle time, and a lot of it really comes down to attitude and loyalty, and I believe everyone we did have was fiercely loyal and wonderful. So it really has come down to skill sets and efficiency, and I think joy. I don't know, like people who love their jobs and you can feel it and are willing to stay until 7 to make sure that the customer service questions are answered, and we're really grateful for their hearts in our business, and I feel like they feel ownership too. So, yeah,
That's
it's important.
yeah, that's important. Ozzy, would you say that you have a similar experience with the team, with your team?
As I mentioned from the outset, we were having discussions with our staff throughout 2019, leading right up into our big beginning of the year meeting
Right.
about expectations of change and in the entire world.
Right.
And I think that on reflection that it helped us as a business issue, because when COVID happened and when we had to adjust, I think those conversations resonated with our staff, and I hadn't had a lot of complaints, to be honest with you, from the staff. They understood. It's like COVID wasn't totally a shock. The event itself was
Yeah.
uncertain, but they were hearing me saying all along that expect we are going to go through. The world is going to change. We're going to go
We
through,
should have
and
been talking to Ozzy a lot early because he knew.
and this is not really a secret, depending on your the spaces that you expose yourself to in this life. It is a secret to many people, but it's not a secret to everybody.
Right.
But that's another conversation. But
Yeah.
but yes, I was very fortunate, and I'm be more than happy to have that conversation with anyone at any time.
Listeners.
It is a lot more real than we probably realize, and I am definitely not a gloom and doom person. I see COVID as, I don't like the term necessary evil. That's a term people use, but I think that COVID is one of those transformative events that is part of a series of events
Mhm.
that has, let's say, upset the equilibrium of the world.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
The equilibrium of the world has been turned upside down, inside out, and I don't
Mhm.
think we've seen the end of it yet. And so there most likely are going to be other events coming that
Mhm.
might impact us as business people and as individuals in the coming months and in the coming year. That is, I can guarantee you, most likely will happen.
I
Yeah.
mean, to speak of that, I mean, I have all these questions here. I know I'm not going to get to all of them, but talking about life-changing events like the whole Black Lives Matter movement, right? That's
Mhm.
like globally impacted everywhere. And I'm wondering how you guys either supported or voiced those concerns because, people of color, Black people, buy so much stuff. They're, one of the largest consumers. And I'm sure that people are making conscious decisions about how to spend their money and where to spend their money now in the wake of all of these killings of Black people and all of that. So, like you're mentioning, COVID is a global pandemic. Well, this Black Lives Matter movement is a global movement. And how do you respond as a retailer to something like that, right? Because you have people who are for the Black Lives Matters movement who could be your customer and be on board. And then you have people who are against it, who could be your customer and who could not be on board. And so how do you kind of navigate that space so that you're able to still cater to them? Or do you just be like, well, some people just don't get jewelry, or some people just not getting hair care products? You know what I mean? Like, how do you do that? I'll start with you, Ian, because I see you co-signing me.
Yeah, of course. Well, as a Black bookstore and cultural hub,
Yeah.
our message has always been directed towards the effects and the what's required beyond just the Black Lives Matter message, right? Because the message itself is really for other persons to recognize Black humanity, right? So our focus has always been on, all right, what next? So preparing, and not just for Black people, but for white people as well. And because we have the literature here, we've been in a position where we want persons to understand our unique shared history as well. And for us as Black people to come together beyond just on the surface level. So looking at group economics, looking at our ancient past as far as our connections, our inherent connections, connecting ourselves with other members of the diaspora and so forth, connecting with our spiritual past. So this the Black Lives Matter has been a real shift for us as far as the mindset when it comes to all persons on this island. So we've been like, in a way, privileged to be able to facilitate the positive move going forward, because that's essentially what we are set up to do. So it's been very interesting. So for us, it's and from a business standpoint, it's been hugely beneficial because the increased awareness have brought people into our space. And to not just to purchase items, but also to sharing conversations and share information and knowledge with each other, and to also to connect. So it's been very positive in that regard.
Okay. And I'm asking you guys, Alexandra and Darren, how is it impacting you? I saw your signs in the window, so I was like,
Yeah. It's been a huge impact, and I mean, it's always been really important to us to have a very incredibly diverse or equal, when possible, workforce, and in our marketing as well, to have all sorts of faces, and now people are actually requesting different sizes to be showing up in our marketing. So it certainly is an incredibly important issue, and it's a human issue. And I will say things on my personal account, but I felt at this time that it was important to say them on the business account as well, because it was so important. And truly, it rocked us, and we were really moved. We were out there marching. And I didn't know what I didn't know, and it's been a time of deep learning, deep listening, and understanding. And having those conversations, and we're having them in the store, we're having them online. It's really, having them with my friends. I'm watching and really absorbing, to the point where Darren was like, okay, peeling the phone out of my hands at midnight. Like, I'm like, still got. Anyway, we are open to hearing and being better, and very much. It will always be a part of the way that we do business, and very important to us. And it's something that you can't not talk about, because if you don't, but silence is compliance. Like, it is, right. You either are an ally or not, and if we lost followers in Florida because of it, I don't care. Like, I don't. This is important. And it's again, it's a human thing, and that's how I feel.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And I think I know we're coming towards the end of it, but I think it helps you to understand and realize, especially now, all the money matters, right? At the end of the day. And I think for so long, in some instances, you have the ability to say, well, I'll take your money, but not your money. But I think pandemics or global events are great equalizers, right? And so, like you said, you're up looking at the Instagram. If people are, you want them to click buy at the end of the day. And what the person looks like on the other end matters less, I think, during this time. And so I would like you guys to end with some words of encouragement for those who are in the retail industry who may not be in a position to bounce back as quickly, or whatever you think they should be doing now at this point. Thankfully we're able to reopen, but what should they be doing to kind of encourage people to continue purchasing? Should they be switching up their supply chain, looking at different opportunities to save money some places? Should they be vocalizing their opinions on Black Lives Matter or not? What would you say to those who are on the call who may just need a little extra information as to how they should navigate this time period? Who's moved to answer right away?
Okay, well, I'll take the lead.
Okay.
I'll give you a quote that says, live every day of your life as if it was your last day, but plan your business as if you're going to live forever. I just leave that quote, right? As a backdrop. this other thought that I think we're very fortunate to have COVID. And my only unfortunate feelings with those people who lost their lives, and that's an unfortunate aspect of existence on this planet. You have to die, and I think that as a I have to go beyond business first and look at the human side of things,
Right.
because at the end of the day, is if I'm going to just operate a business to make money to enrich myself, and I live in an environment that is very unhealthy and unhappy, I don't think the human conscience is going to be very comfortable. So I think COVID has opened up a number of things, all of which I won't be able to mention in this conversation, but it has certainly given us as business owners the opportunity to look at how we do business, how we manage our staff. Even though some of our staff don't understand this dynamic, we have to take the lead. That going forward, equality, justice, fairness, that's what the Black Lives Matters is about. It's about the world finally waking up to the realization that with all the resources, technology we have, it means the planet has to be better for it, not some people or small percentage of the populations. That comfort zone is over, unfortunately. As a business owner, to those people who are in business, especially the more recent business owners, I would say this is it's a time of to be shrewd, to be thoughtful, and to be ready to work quite hard. And the fittest will survive. But it cannot be business as usual. You have to think about your staff. You have to think about, yes, social media. It has to be all encompassing. And I don't want to scare anybody. It's like, whoa, that's a lot to do. It is a lot to do, but it's a transformative period. It's not a period of comforts. For me, it's very difficult in trying to manage all of these components, believe me. And the most important component is the spiritual component, because that's something that will never leave you, and that's going to give you life whether you're in business or not. So I would say, just get rid of things in your life that is not important. Start focuses on your people, your staff, your family, and put your time and energies on what is important. You may need to forget a couple of movies right now. You might need to forget a number of parties. That's all right. They will come back. But right now is about making your product better, working a little bit more on your social media and your all the other stuff that is necessary components for your business. So I would say it's going to be a tough time, but it's a time for preparation, something better down the road.
Okay. Thank you for that. Who wants to follow that? He said everything.
He did. I'll just say that it's really about being adaptive, right? And just to piggyback on what Ozzy was saying, part of owning a business is the business being an expression of your purpose and your passion, right? So to go beyond it, just a means of making money. So for persons that are either just starting out or looking to get into this field as an entrepreneur, you really have to be passionate and love what you're doing, because the world can benefit from your gifts, and this is the mechanism through which that happens, right? And that adaptiveness is really just being flexible, just looking at the current circumstances, looking at what people need, and how you can adjust yourself to meet those needs going forward. I will dress back just a little bit, and you talked about some of the challenges that we've had.
Yes.
One of my main challenge that I'm having right now is supply, and receiving the supply internationally and as well as locally. So in the local context, the challenges between customs, the shipping agencies and so forth is becoming a very serious issue, to the point where we have to even adjust our ordering patterns, and ordering things in surplus to try to offset that. And to me, I know some things are beyond our control, but there is an opportunity, I feel, for the government or even the BEDC to, from a policy standpoint, to reach an agreement with a lot of the couriers and the shipping agencies to prioritize the processing of business packages above all else. And that is vitally important for us to be able to sustain our businesses locally and be able to meet the needs of our customers, essentially. So that has been a huge thing. I felt it's important to mention that.
Yeah,
There are
yeah.
some other mechanisms that I think could help as well, but even just having that agreement with the shippers, just to and customs as well, because they often do a blaming game. When you go to the shipper, and they go, "Oh, it's customs," and customs like, "We
Yeah.
released that a long time ago." You know what I mean? So we need to alleviate that as much as we possibly can, for sure.
That's a great point. Thank you for bringing that
Very
up.
good point. I second that. That's a big, I'm surprised I missed that. That's our biggest challenge right now is getting the supplies. So thanks, Ian, for highlighting that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Alexandra and Darren.
Yeah, that actually reminded me that one of our biggest challenges right now is actually because of the world economic situation, the price of gold and silver has soared. And we've had to unfortunately raise our gold prices, which kills me during, a time when people actually can't afford a lot of things. I mean, we have some customers that they're fine, and but just the idea that everyone's in a pinch and then we have to raise our prices. But in order to replace the gold grain for casting our pieces, we're looking at shocking raw materials prices, and that's all literally tied up in economics. So while we make our own things and we don't have a problem with getting supply, we have a problem paying for supply. That's for sure. But I love what both Ozzy and Ian said. I think that is the kind of attitude that we've been kind of focusing on over the last 6 months, and very much really back to the beginning. Like I've been doing this for 15 years now, and we built it up to a company that at certain times of the year have between 15 and 22 staff, depending on summer season and harbor nights and go time. And taking it right back down to the very beginning when I was taking those very first BEDC classes, and that we're rolling up our sleeves and doing it all ourselves, every single thing. I mean, for a solid 2 months, it was just the two of us. And back to the bare basics of business and what we learned from Streetwise MBA that we did in 2017. All of those, not so much the HR component because we didn't have a team for a little while, but marketing, strategy, focusing on revenue, cash is king, cash flow is important. All of the things that that matter. Like they really have been studying essentialism basically, and the idea there is less but better, and doing the right things that really make the biggest impact on ROI, return on investment, and your time, and not focusing all the would be lovely if we could, making it was kind of make it work moments everywhere. And so it has been kind of lovely to go back to what had become back to bare basics of just being the entrepreneur again, and instead of having a team and the levels of hierarchy of what we were up to, focusing on what are we going to do to bring money in the door today, and in a way, because nobody needs jewelry. Nobody needs jewelry.
Right.
We need to create a desire. We need to tell a story. We need to highlight a memory for people. We need to capture a moment, and it's all magic and romance. And so for me, I've been honing in on my storytelling and sharing authentically in a way that maybe I kind of got too busy to do for a few years. And so that to me is realizing what your customers want, and it may not just be an object, it may be meaning, and then giving that to them in a way that delights them and taking care of them the whole time.
That is awesome. Well, thank you guys. I really do appreciate you guys for coming through, sharing some of your challenges, sharing some success stories, sharing how you rebounded in spite of all that has been going on. And I'm hopeful that you guys will make yourselves available should anyone wish to get in touch with you. Would it be okay if you just set out how people can reach you so that they know how to contact you? And then we'll also include it, I think we can do that, include it in the email recording of the webinar too, but I'll let you guys say it here now so people who are still on can get that information. How can they get you, Alexandra?
So you can always find us on alexandramosier.com, or you can email us at hello@alexandramosier.com. the best way.
Ian?
Yeah, so website is griot, GRIOTBDA.com. Social media handles is at griotbda.com as well. And we are located at 32 Parliament Street. And we encourage people to come in and experience the griot.
Beautiful shop. So please stop through if
Thank
you
you.
can. And Ozzy?
Yes, so we can be contacted on info@salonitems.com. That's info@salonitems.com. Our handle for Instagram is the Salon Store. Salon Store. And also we are on Facebook as well. And our salons is janazis.com. That's on our website. So either of those for one for the services, of course, and the other one is for our store, wholesale and retail, for anything beauty. Info@Salon Items. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. And hopefully, as a result of this, you're going to inspire a lot of other retailers and help them to manage themselves through the rest of this pandemic and whatever else the world has on offer. 2020, I'm telling you, man. It's been a rough year. But thank you guys again for all of your insight and support.
Yes, thank you all. Blessings.
Take care.
Thank you. Thank
All right.
you. Thanks for having us. Thank you.